Welcome to the latest edition of the Muscle News in collaboration with evolutionofbodybuilding.net. In a recent interview with Beyond the Stage, Dan Solomon, the president of the Olympia weekend, had some very good things to say about the Mr. Olympia and the Olympia weekend in general regarding, how long it takes for the show to end, the celebrities that come to the show, pay-per-view or streaming, and especially he touched base on why they don't use black backgrounds like certain people in the industry are insisting that the Olympian organizers include in the event and remove all the flashy advertisements that are on the background. What was interesting is Brian Powers, who is the global executive director for the Arnold Sports Festival, had a few things to say on his social media. Now, let's just, this has been bugging me for the past few days. Not few days, for the past year or two. Dan Solomon, doesn't talk crap. He doesn't put childish things on his social media. He doesn't, throw mud at other people. He might say certain things in an interview to get his point across uh, in a mature manner. But then you get Brian Powers that uses his social media in a immature way, mocking people um, and mocking the industry basically, because the Mr. Olympia and the Olympia weekend is the bodybuilding industry. Or as they say, all roads leads to the Mr. Olympia. Now, regardless if I support other federations, bodybuilding is, a universal sport, and not everybody wants to compete with the NPC or the Pro League. Some people are happy to compete with the IFBB, with the Elite Pro, now rebranded the IFBB Pro, with PCA, with BPA, with NABBA, and whatever else is out there. Okay. Now, getting back to Brian Powers, he started, you know, posting stories regarding the comments that Dan Solomon made regarding the black background. So let's start with what Brian Powers said. So, first, he said, the Arnold Classic would never do this. Our production is solely focused on the athlete and fan experience, and it shows. There is life changing money up for grabs, and the president of the organization chooses lasers over the integrity of the judging. He is referring to Dan Solomon when it in regards to choosing lasers over the integrity of the judging. Okay, that's one. Today he put up a post with Darth Vader. You can tell this guy, Brian Powers, worked with Comic Con. The Arnold is just one. He's taking a quote of what Dan Solomon said, or somebody else related to the Olympia. The Arnold is just one of the many qualifiers that paved the road to our show in regards to qualifying for the Mr. Olympia. And then he just wrote us, and Darth Vader rising. And then he wrote at the bottom, aggressive laser free since 1989. Okay. So, to be fair, the Arnold Classic is just another qualifier for the Mr. Olympia. All right. The athletes get a fantastic prize fund, but at the end of the day, they are there to qualify for the Mr. Olympia. Okay. In another post, he has a picture of Dan Solomon and he writes, Arnold Sports will never compromise the integrity of the sport for lasers. Again, taking a jab at Dan Solomon because he said something. He said something that we'll get to later, or you can hear him for yourself. We took a snippet from the interview and put it at the end of this video, or the end of my rant. Then this was the greatest one. He put up a picture of Hadi Chupan posing with the Arnold Classic background, and he's all clear and everything, really cool. And then he puts up, I don't know how the hell he did it, Hadi Chupan coming out from the O of the Mr. O right in the middle. And, he's all washed out with a white light looking like a laser, which I have a feeling, I believe, allegedly, that somebody played with this photo. Okay. Next, you have a photo that took a screenshot of from playing the Olympia video, okay, on their app. This is Hadi Chupan posing at the 2024 prejudging Mr. Olympia. You don't see lasers, you don't see these lights, you don't see anything washed out. Okay, there's the NPC news in the background. There's supplement sponsors, Wings of Strength, but in general, Hadi Chupan looks perfect. Now, like I said, I used my mobile to take these screenshots because I was, just thinking about how I'm gonna do this rant, and I said, let me take some screenshots. Now, look, these are screenshots. We continue with Hadi Chupan, and he's looking normal without any lasers or lightsabers. Maybe he wants to say it like that, Brian Powers, or you know um the dark force coming in and throwing lasers on the competitors. That's the way he sees it. I don't know what the hell he's seeing. All right, this is a guy that got involved in the sport of bodybuilding 2 to 3 years ago, and he has literally, okay, with my experience with him, all right, no respect for certain people in the industry. We have Bob Ciccarello, which I have clashed many times with, but I regard him. I look at him as a good friend. We touch base many times on certain subjects. Um, and we trade ideas, and sometimes we agree on things, sometimes we agree not to agree. Okay. Bob, he came out, all right, saying that he will never work with Brian Powers again. Now, they use the excuse that, Arnold said it, that he takes too long, to MC a show. That's not true. That's not true. The Arnold in the past, before Brian Powers, all right, used to have all these dances and painted models on stage before an event, and long pauses before each division starts. That's not the fault of the MC, all right? That's not the fault of the MC. That was just an excuse to that they try to throw mud at Bob Ciccarello because he spoke his mind and he spoke the truth. All right. Now, getting back to Dan Solomon. All right. Now, I guarantee you, if a sponsor, all right, I don't know, let's say, let's give an American company, let's say Ford. All right. Let's say Ford come up to, Brian Powers or Arnold or whoever the hell runs the show now, okay, and tell him, listen, we're going to give you $6 million if you put our logo and a Ford Mustang, turning in the background while the competitors compete. All right. We're saying a good paycheck, okay, a good sponsorship. Do you think that Arnold will refuse this? I mean, is he making millions from the Arnold Classic, or is he breaking even? Okay. Would he accept this money and just say, screw it, we're putting a Ford Mustang in the background spinning around? All right. He'll do it. He'll do it. Now, the difference between the Arnold Classic and the Olympia is the Olympia catered to all the divisions, okay? Not as, Brian Powers once told me, let's say allegedly, he told me that, you know, not all divisions are favorites with the fans, okay? All right, it's their show, it's an invitation. Not all the athletes go to the show, all right? The Mr. Olympia get the best athletes in the world that qualify for that event, all right? So the Olympia have to see how they're going to bring all the athletes there, which comes to a great expense, all right? Now, regarding lasers and all this stuff, the only thing Dan Solomon said in his interview was that if they have to decide if a small styration, all right? If it happens, a small styration on the glutes of a bodybuilder might not be 100% clear, all right? Especially on pay-per-view, all right? Trading it off for a multi-million dollar sponsorship, the president, Jake Wood, is going to say, go for it, all right? The sport needs money to progress, all right? Um, if the Olympia doesn't have all those sponsors at the back, they can't put out the 2 million or over prize cash fund for all the athletes, all right, which I believe will increase this year as well. And that's all he said. I mean, let's go to the Detroit Pro, all right? Fuad show. All right, he wants to do a black background, and fine, he did it well. All right, he had a black background, and he had a couple of sponsors on the top, which were of his close friends. Okay, they might not care if the logo doesn't show all the time. All right, but give Fuad $2 to $3 million. All right, or even 1 million to put, I don't know, something ridiculous in the background. Let's say, wrist wraps. A company wants to put wrist wraps in the background on a digital screen while the competitor's competing. Do you think Fuad's gonna refuse that money? Come on, come on. And then you have Brian Powers saying, they've been laser free since 1989. In 1989, Brian Powers, I don't even know how old he is. He didn't even know what bodybuilding was. Come on. He didn't know what bodybuilding was. Did he know who Rich Gaspari was in 1989 when he won the Arnold Classic? Did he know who he was? Did he know in 1990 Sean Ray won and he got disqualified? Did he know in 1991 Sean Ray won then? Come on, let's be realistic here. All right, the Olympia has been expanding from the time of Joan Ben Weider, and then when Wayne the Media expanded it even more for a good number of years, all right? And then it went over to Robin Chang, and he did what he had to do, and he expanded it, and now it's in the hands of our friend Dan Solomon, who has incredible knowledge about the sport because he started at the bottom as a journalist and worked his way up, all right? Do you think Dan Solomon is going to do something that's going to destroy the appearance of a bodybuilder on stage just for an advert? No, he has to take the line in the middle. All right. He has to keep the sponsors happy and he has to keep the athletes happy. All right. I mean, the athletes that win will never complain. It's the athletes that don't win usually that complain that everything was washed out at the back and things like that. But if there's more sponsors, there'll be more money to spread down the line, and nobody will complain. All right. Like I said, these posts of Brian Powers are really childish, really childish. You're putting Darth Vader and these lasers and all this crap. Dan Solomon did an interview, not something he does all the time. He was honest, all right, about everything. And he explained why they have such a colorful background, all right? I mean, there's the European Championships going on at this moment while I'm doing this video in Spain. There's over 1,000 athletes, all right, and they even have a digital background, all right. There was just an incredible show in Siberia, the Siberian Power Pro show, all right. It was a IFBB Pro show with Dr. Rafael Santo and his IFBB, all right. The background was like just exactly like the Olympia. The athletes looked fantastic. Okay. I'm not saying a black background is not better for the athletes. Of course, they look fantastic. Like there was that UK Grand Prix that time, that those famous videos with Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman and everybody posing with a perfectly background. All right, I understand it. But back in the day, were they making money like were their expenses like there are today? If the Olympia weekend, if Dan Solomon doesn't implement ways for adverts to show on stage, they will lose sponsorship. Okay? Advertisers, companies are pumping millions into this event, And when Hadi Chupan or Samson Dauda or Martin Fitzwater step on stage, they want to see their logo behind them. All right? They don't want to see it on the website. They don't want to see it on the Instagram page. They wanted to see it behind the star athlete posing. All right? Now, getting back to Brian Powers, if he was such an incredible promoter or what is he, global executive, you know, director for the Arnold Sports Festival, all right? The Arnold Classic Australia, dead. Arnold Classic South Africa, dead. After over 14 years, the Arnold Classic Europe, which was Dr. Rafael Santona's event, dead. What's next? I can see it happening in the near future. The Arnold Brazil. All right. It's a weak lineup. All right. Arnold doesn't even travel to the show. All right. So the only thing they're going to have left is the Arnold Classic Ohio. Okay. So getting back to the lasers and the flashing lights, Brian Powers has to realize that more sponsors prefer the Olympia. All right. All roads lead to the Olympia, including the Arnold Classic. Remember, the Arnold Classic is an invitation, which is a pro qualifier for the Olympia. Okay. The Olympia brings in all the qualified athletes. Are there too many athletes? That's a different story, but that's something I know they are trying the best way to figure out how to make the show run faster. The Arnold Classic is Arnold's show. If he wants to have 10 bodybuilders on stage, he can have 10 bodybuilders. But can they cater to more athletes? Do they have the resources? Do they have the time? That there's events. Let's go back to the European IFBB European Amateur Championships. All right, they start at 8, 9 in the morning, and at 11 p.m. at night, they're still going on, catering to all the athletes. And this is gone. This is over 4 days, 4 days, 11 to 12-hour days. All right, the judges are dead tired, but they do it for the love of the sport. All right. If you love bodybuilding and fitness, okay, you could be watching it on pay-per-view or you can be at the event. If you like the sport, you won't complain that it takes too long. All right. The people that are complaining, especially some stars that I'm not going to mention, were allegedly paid to support the Arnold Classic. And if you look at social media, you will see and notice who I'm talking about. All right. These people, all right, there's a handful. All right. They have a large amount of social media followers. They are surely, allegedly reimbursed to push the Arnold Classic. All right. If they want to play dirty, that's the way they're playing. I don't see the Olympia doing this. Okay. I don't see the Olympia people doing this. All right. I've never heard of the Olympia flying planes over, the Arnold Classic venue and buses with the Arnold Classic adverts and whatever going by. All right. From what I heard, allegedly, at the last Arnold Classic, there were banners of the Arnold Class at the last Olympia weekend. Sorry, there were banners of the Arnold Classic outside the event. Fine. Promote your event. That's going to happen 4 months later. But don't start stabbing, your colleagues in the back because they decided to have a multicolor background. All right. Not even the Arnold Classic have a black background. Okay. They don't have a black background. Theirs is also colorful. All right. They might not have all the adverts in the background, but it is not a black background. So, if they want to do what the critics say, let's see Brian Powers just make a washed out black background on stage. Arnold won't stand for it. Why? because he wants the money from the sponsors. This is a business, all right? Bodybuilding is an art. People compete because they love the sport, but at the end of the day, it's a business. Nobody does nothing for free, all right? Nobody does nothing for free. Now, you can hear Dan Solomon for yourself. I would like to thank I would like to thank Beyond the Stage TV for getting Dan Solomon on and asking him the right questions. Uh, it was a fantastic interview, and I mean, again, as you know, Dave Palumbo says, the truth hurts, and some people don't like hearing the truth because they thought with all these gimmicks that they're publishing, Dan Solomon is just going to roll up in a ball and say, "I give up." No, he's not going to give up. Okay? He's not going to give up. This is my opinion. All right? Dan Solomon didn't contact me to say this. It's what I believe. All right? I've been following the sport since I've been 13, 14 years old. I'm going to be 55 this year. So I've seen a lot of things happen in the sport, from when people were embarrassed to say that they like bodybuilding to now they come out and say that they love bodybuilding and fitness, and they're not ashamed to say they love the sport. All right. um you know we'll see what's going to happen with Brian Powers in the future. He might stay on, but with his attitude and the way he treats certain people in the industry, I don't know what's going to happen. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support our channel, and we'll be back with some more interesting content in the near future.
Because unfortunately, it is my job to make choices that sometimes aren't always popular. I'll give you an example. So there is a subsection of the bodybuilding community, the bodybuilding purists, that if it were up to them, every bodybuilding show would have a black curtain in the background and a couple spotlights on every physique, and there would be no production value. It would be pure, clean presentation of the physiques, right? And I respect that because I'm a bodybuilding fan. I came up a bodybuilding fan. I understand the importance of seeing all the granular detail within the framework of a physique. I get that. We all understand that. So there's those people, and those folks will come, those folks will watch the Olympia, and they might complain that the stage is too busy, or there's too much sensory overload, or the lights are too bright, or the volume is too loud, or something along those lines. The contrasts aren't optimal for showcasing the physique in the best way. So there's those people, and I respect those opinions. But then there's the opinion of the CEO of major companies who come to the Olympia and sit there and they watch the caliber of stage production that we put on. They watch the way that we showcase our lifestyle, our sport, in the most profoundly impactful, visceral level. And they see it. And when the show is over and they come up to me or Jake or any of us, and they are blown away by how far the sport has come, and they want to now be a part of the sport, and they want to invest in the sport. They want to sponsor, they want to exhibit, they want to be a part of this world. When major celebrities show up to the Olympia, and when the night is over, I say, man, you stayed to the end. That's amazing, because a lot of celebrities, when they do things, they leave early. They come in, they sit for 10 minutes, and they leave. But when they come to the Olympia, they stay for the entire night. And I'll say, hey, you stayed to the entire night. They go, oh, we didn't want it to end. This show was off the charts. It was like a concert environment. And now, as a result, they come back year in and year out. And when they do come back, they tell that to their fans, their followers. They connect. Influencers show up and they experience what we're doing. And they go back home and they tell their followers about it. And it grows our sport. And that's a priority for me, is growth. So, well, on one hand, we hear the critics gripe about the need for a black curtain backdrop. And I get it. I do. Don't think I don't understand that thinking. But the responsibility of the Olympia is to serve as a beacon of growth. And the choices that we make, the choices that I make every single time, are geared towards the growth of prize money, the growth of production value, the growth of participation, the growth of the audience. And those are the choices that we make. So, with respect to the guy who wants the black curtain in the background, and I totally feel you, and this will be a great soundbite for you because I'm sure this is going to get a lot of response because this is a hot topic, and I appreciate that. But understand that my responsibility is to grow this sport and the choices that we make, the caliber of production that we are putting on. I know for certain, without any degree of speculation, that it is bringing more horsepower into our community. Sponsorship, exhibitorship, celebrity connection, influencer connection, they are showing up. They are a part of it because we are taking things to another level. And if that means that the separation between an athlete's glutes and hamstring might be muted a little bit by an aggressive laser or a spotlight, then that's a price that we are willing to pay because we have to grow the sport. If people want to make more money in this sport, if people want to have more opportunities in this lifestyle, if people want to see this continue to grow the way that I do, the way that Arnold does, the way that Jake does, the way that Jim and Tyler do, we have to make choices that are going to attract more people into this lifestyle.